Quilts. Today is Thursday, July 15th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 4 weeks since my last update, but 2 weeks since my last video, and I want to thank everybody who stopped by to check out my Anniversaries of the Heart video that I uploaded 2 weeks ago. That was a very fun video to make, and I am so happy that so many of you guys enjoyed watching it. If you are new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast about cross-stitching as well as quilting. However, if you are not interested in seeing or hearing about the quilts, I show those a little later on in the video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So I hope you guys have had a wonderful 2 weeks since we last sat down to chat, although I probably should refer to it more as 4 weeks since we last sat down to chat because I haven't done an update in 4 weeks. The reason why is because my brother and my family were all going to be here right when I was going to have to do, or right when I would have needed to do my video. And there would have been absolutely no way to film that video and to edit it and get it ready for coming out on Saturday. So that's why I put my Anniversaries of the Heart video in then. I was able to film it a few days before they arrived, and then I spent the week leading up to, when I normally upload a Flosstube video, editing it and getting it ready. So the last 4 weeks have been, kind of exciting. Ethan finished school. And right after he finished school, we had the hottest temperature that we've ever had in the history of Oregon. Normally, our weather is like in the 70s. We'll get rain, in June. If we get, sunny days, that's really awesome. But typically it's very, it's still spring. So we're still getting like spring-like temperatures. And we've had summer basically since April. So the right before I filmed my Anniversaries of the Heart video, I think I might have even said something about it going to be like 100 and some degrees, and it was. So we had 2 back-to-back days of 116 degree temperatures. It was awful, absolutely awful. We are not used to that kind of weather here. I mean, we will have like maybe some triple-digit temperatures in August, but never anything like that at all. And then there was a steady furnace wind that blew, and it basically singed all of the crops in our area. So the marionberries, raspberries, cherries, blueberries, all gone. And some of the farmers lost their entire crops, and some only lost half. So it's very devastating. So this year, for me, typically I do a lot of canning. I will have, by now I would have done my marionberry jam. I would have done some raspberry jam, and none of it because it wasn't ripe yet. And the furnace wind blew, heat temp went up, and just everything ripened and just bleh. So it was not fun. And I lost a couple of plants. I have some that are in pots that don't look so good, and I'm still kind of babying them to see if maybe they'll perk up. I planted 3 brand new hydrangea bushes. One did great. The other 2, the leaves got like all crusty and they just shriveled up. And the plant itself is very healthy. There's a lot of undergrowth. So it's doing fine, and it's starting to like send up new shoots and that kind of stuff. So, but it's just the outside leaves just look very sad. So, but they did good, and they, looks like they're going to be okay, and that's good. But it was very disappointing. The whole thing was just so unfun, and I definitely do not ever want to have to repeat that ever again. And just to give you a little, like, what was it really like? It felt like somebody opened up the portal to hell and all of the hot air came out. That's what it felt like. It was awful. So I definitely hope I never have to experience anything like that again. So, but you're not here to hear me talk about the weather. You're here to hear about cross-stitching. So I do have 4 weeks of progress to show. However, within that 4 weeks, there was 10 days where I didn't get like a lot of stitching done because my brother and his family were here. And so there was a lot of like family activities and dinners and things like that going on. So there was several days where I do remember not stitching at all. And if I did stitch, it was very, you know, it might have only been for like an hour, half hour, just kind of here and there. So I don't want you to think that I have like major progress, but I do have more progress than I would have done over 2 weeks. I don't want you to think that, you know, my needle's on fire or anything, because it's really not. I wish. Now, before I get to the stitching, I did have a couple of questions from my last video, which would have been my Anniversaries of the Heart video. I'm not going to show my Anniversaries finish in this video because I did do a whole entire video dedicated to it. So if you would like to see what it looks like, you'll just have to pop over and check out that video. But I did have a couple of questions. The main question that I got asked many times was, will I include the history of the piece and attach it to the back? And yes, my intention was always to make sure that who each block was stitched for was written out, so that way, you know, when my great-great-granddaughter inherits the piece, she will be able to read about who I stitched for them and why. And then my hope is to attach photos with it so that way they can see, you know, what their ancestors look like. But yes, I have always planned on attaching the information to the back of it. I haven't done it yet, just I haven't had the time to do it yet, but I do plan on doing that and making sure that it is attached to the back. I did have the piece framed at Michael's. They were having a 70% off sale, and I had kind of looked around to find a frame because originally I wanted to frame it myself, but my piece ended up finishing at kind of a strange size. It was like 14 3/4 by 21 1/2. That's definitely not a standard size. So I ended up deciding to take it and having Michael's frame it for me. And they did a great job. I was very worried, as with my 3 previous pieces, that I was gonna have to have them fix it, because that had been what had happened 3 other times, which is why I didn't say anything in my last video that I was going to be making that video, because I was worried that something would happen and I wouldn't have the piece back in time to make the video. But Michael's did a great job, and I love the frame, and I just love the whole entire piece. The other question I got was about when I told the story about how my husband and I met, and a lot of you were curious, was it love at first sight for him? And I did ask him, and he said he can't remember. So I don't know if he was kidding, but he said he can't remember. So anyway, but again, thank you to everybody who watched the video and who left me such kind comments. That was so sweet of you guys, and I do appreciate it so much, because that particular piece, it meant a lot to me, and I'm just so glad to have it finished, and now I get to look at it every single day. So before I show what I have been working on over the past 4 weeks, the Fat Quarter Shop sent me a box of goodies to show and share with all of you guys. Everything that I am going to show you is available on the Fat Quarter Shop's website, and I will put a link to the Fat Quarter Shop down below as well if you would like to go and do some shopping. The first item is the Kaleidoscope quilt by Laurie Holt of BMI Bonnet. This particular quilt comes in several sizes, and it also comes with, it comes with the directions to do several sizes of quilts, and it does have a cross stitch pattern in there as well. And while I was flipping, it does have a pattern to make a pillow. So there's definitely a lot of, for a book this size, it definitely has a lot of options for sewing and cross stitching. The next item is Flea Market Flowers by Laurie Holt. I think this one just recently wrapped up as a stitch along, but it is a beautiful, I'm going to say it's a sampler. I always refer to all of cross stitching as a sampler. I'm probably really wrong, but I've seen this finished, and it's a beautiful, it's beautiful. Next up is number 11 of the Prim Stitch series, Grace and Gratitude, also by Laurie Holt. And number 12, Hands and Heart to God. Beautiful, beautiful series. I have all 12 of them, and I do plan on at some point stitching one for myself. Next up is some cross stitch finishing dots. So these are double-sided acid-free finishing dots. So this would be when you're, and you're finishing, this would be great to kind of tack down your piece to kind of help you, finish them on the backside, however it is that you like to finish your pieces. It also comes in a 3/4 inch dot. So these would be great to like tack down the 4 corners of a larger piece, or honestly, there's so many different uses that you could even use these for, not for cross stitching, but for tacking down your photos in albums. I mean, I used to use those little tiny dots in scrapbooking. I can't think what they're called now, but I remember I used them in so many different things other than scrapbooking. There is a quilt pattern called Festive by Crystal Stahl for It's So Emma. It's a beautiful, beautiful quilt. I have some Be in My Bonnet stitch cards. This is set I. A double-sided mini cutting mat by Fig Tree for It's So Emma. So it's got a green side and a pink side. And these are great for, if you're going to a retreat, or if you're doing a bunch of fussy cutting on smaller pieces. These are great to have. I have one that's a little bit bigger than this that sits next to my sewing machine, and I use it all the time when I am quilting, or when I'm assembling quilt blocks. This one is a quilt pattern called Embark by Sarah Price, and when I saw this one, I thought it would be perfect in Civil War reproduction. I have reproduction fabrics on my brain all the time. Next up is the Oregon Trail template set. 3 templates for the Oregon Trail quilt block from a Scrapbook of Quilts book. And so this is what the templates look like, and it makes that block. And Among the Stars again, block of the month. And they have it in 2 different colorways. Well, it was made using 2 different fabric lines. I particularly like this one. And I believe that one looks like Fig Tree Fabrics. And then this is the Made for Plaid project bag in charcoal. I love plaid, so I love these bags. It comes in berry and olive. So I've only ever seen these bags online, so it was nice to kind of see what they look like in person, and I love them. I think they're great bags. So some of that stuff I will be giving away a little bit later in this video, but thank you so much to Fat Quarter Shop for sending those items to me. I appreciate it so much. All right, so let's talk about what I've been working on over the past 2 weeks. I did have a new morning stitch, and that was Queen of the Needle by Brenda Gervais. I don't have a large start on this. I did start it on Monday. I think it was Monday. It was either Monday or Thursday or Friday of last week. I kind of get a little bit mixed up in my days, especially in the summer. For like 3 days, I walked around thinking it was Saturday. I don't really know why. But I did start this one recently. I haven't got a whole lot of progress on it because I was working on some binding for this one back here. And I usually will work on quilt binding in the morning if I have it. It's just a really good time to do it. But here is my progress so far. So this is a piece of 36 count mystery linen that I had in my stash left over from another project. I'm stitching it 1/2, and I'm stitching it with some of the called for, but a lot of floss that I had in my stash. I didn't have a lot of the called for threads, so I did substitute. I'm not sure it's showing up very good, but you can see that her face and then her crown. I'm not sure that I'm going to leave I might end up unpicking those. I don't feel like they show up very well. And even now in my viewfinder, I can see a little bit of her hair and that's it. So I might over the weekend just quickly unpick all of that and then pull something a little bit darker. And if I remember right, the called for thread on her crown was honeycomb, and it's just not showing up very well on this linen at all. So yeah, I definitely think I'm going to unpick that this weekend. But I started that, and so that will stay my morning stitch until it is finished. And then next up is something that you guys have been watching me stitch for a while, and that is Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street Samplers. This was my New Year, New Start, and I am stitching this with my friend Yvette, and she's just a smidge ahead of me, just a little bit. She went ahead and finished the page, and then I'm just a little bit behind her. But hopefully tonight, well, definitely tonight, I will catch up with her. And it was funny because I had been stitching on my Liberty's Welcome, and I'd been going, and then I sent her, when I finished my 3 days, I sent her a picture, and I thought she was gonna fly up here and wring my neck because I had gotten like way ahead of her. I was not expecting that, but she caught up with me in no time at all. Anyway, so here is my progress. You know what, let me move so that the tree, because the tree lights always shine through. Here's my progress. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Heartland with all of the called for DMC threads except for the house, which is DMC 648. And I love it, love it, love it. So I'm almost done. I looked today, and the next page is the last page. So it's just that bottom corner. And then of course I will add in the 2 flowers that I am missing on the side as well. So I still have quite a bit of the grass to go, but that's basically the only big chunk in that next page is just the grass. And then there's a little bit of the flag, and then you put in your name, and then you just finish the border, and then it's done. Done. So I don't know that I will have a finish. I definitely won't finish it in the next 3 days. So possibly it's still going to be in my rotation another time or two, and maybe a time after that, I don't know. But I'm getting very, very excited that it is almost done, and I can't wait. I didn't, honestly, when I first started stitching this, I didn't think it was going to take this long to stitch it. I really, really didn't. I thought I would have this done in a couple of months, but it is one of those pieces that it's bigger than you think. But it is so worth every single stitch. I mean, I absolutely love working on this. It has just been so much fun, and I cannot wait to have it done. These are the DMC threads that I have used. So I still have quite a bit of the threads left over. I think the only one that I've had to replace is the green for the grass. I'm on the second skein of it. So love it. And then I've been working on Cherry Hollow Farm by Stacy Nash. This is available on Stacy Nash's Etsy shop, and I will put a link to it down below because I've had a lot of people say that this is one of their unicorns, and that they're hoping that someday they'll be able to find it on the secondary market, and it's already available. You can get it as a PDF download, so I will make sure to put a link to Stacy Nash's Etsy shop down below so that way you can go get one and stitch it for yourself. I ended up buying it after Ice-mageddon, and I kitted it up because I felt like I deserved it after surviving Ice-mageddon. So here is my progress. I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count beige linen by Weeks Dye Works with the called for Weeks Dye Works threads 1/2. and I love, 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 love. I cannot wait to have this one finished as well. So I still have a little bit left to go on the house. It's just filling in the windows and the bricks down below, and then it will be finishing the rest of the sampler after that. And the border seriously is no joke, and you definitely have to pay attention or you'll mess up. And that's my only, everything about the sampler is so much fun to stitch, but that border, it definitely, I spend quite a bit of time unpicking it as I'm stitching it. And you can kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm after you get going, but it's no joke. She definitely keeps you on your toes while you're stitching, but it's totally worth it because the sampler is absolutely beautiful and I cannot wait to have it finished. I'm just really looking forward to it. So these are the threads, so you don't need too many, but they're all very beautiful, very soft colors. I love them. I love this color combination together. So my plan is to continue working on that one as well. And then somehow all this stuff got shifted. Next up is the Scarlett House's Anne Priest 1841. And I started this one back on my birthday last year, but it's been kind of in and out of my rotation since then, except recently it's been in pretty much this whole time. I think I started in March maybe, or February or March. I think it was March. And I've just had this one popping in and out of my rotation. But I absolutely love work. I know that I say that I love working on every single piece, but I really do. I love working on every single thing that I have to show you. I love it all. This is a piece of 40 count Carmel by Saraphim Fabrics with the called for threads 1/2. So I almost finished the top row. I just have a little bit of the flowers or the doodads that Yvette always calls them doodads, but I have some of the doodads that are left to finish on the top border, and then there's just a few little things underneath that pot, and then I will drop down to the next row. But this is my progress so far. Such a beautiful sampler. I love it, love it. It's gonna take me a while to finish it. It's not a small sampler. She's a little bit of a beast, but she's totally worth every stitch, and I really do enjoy every second that I spend on her. I really do enjoy it. And then Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. Yes, I had to look. It didn't sound right all of a sudden, because usually when I talk about this piece, I just say Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow. And I know every single time I do not say who the designer is. It is Carriage House Samplings. This one is one of my very longest whips. And this is my progress so far. So I had just finished stitching on Liberty's Welcome, and then I switched to this. And the whole day leading up to when I was going to start stitching on this again, I was thinking I was so glad that I didn't have to stitch any grass, because I just was getting so sick and tired of stitching grass. And then I pick up this to work on it, and I had to work on grass. So I stitched the grass, and I built the fence, and I stitched one of the horses, and then I started on, I'm going to call it a hayfield. But that is the farthest I got. So this came into my rotation for 3 days over the past 4 weeks. And in my previous 2 videos, it's possible that this piece had got bumped out of my rotation, so I haven't shown this one in a while. But I love it. So I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with the called for DMC, except a few. I did swap some out. And I'm stitching it 1/2. And I love it. I do sometimes get a little bit of, I'll have people comment that, when you have something that old in your stash, you don't love it enough, or, what have you, but I do. And I've only really been cross stitching for the past 5 or 6 years. So, you know, it hasn't really been in my stash that long, but I love it and I always look forward to stitching on it, and I can't wait to also have this one finished someday. And then my new Wednesday stitch, because in my last video I had finished, or in my last update I had finished the Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom, and I don't remember if I had started this one. I don't think that I did, but that is Jack's House Pinkeep by Stacy Nash Primitves. So this is the Wednesday stitch that Yvette and I have been working on since we finished Gordon, and here is my progress. So last night I finished the vine and then began working on the roof. I think I still have like 2 rows left to go on the roof, and then the house. And I am stitching this on a piece of 36 count Confederate Grey 1/2. And I love this one. Really do love this one, and I can't wait to have it done. I did make a couple of changes. So in the chart, all of the pumpkins have jack-o'-lantern faces, and in mine, only one of them has a jack-o'-lantern face. And I just like originally I wasn't going to put any of them with a jack-o'-lantern face because I'm trying to stitch ones that are autumn and not so much Halloween. But then when I got to stitching on him, I like this particular pumpkin's grinning face. So that's why I decided to just do the one. And I love it. He's so cute. I just love him. I also had a couple of finishes over the past 4 weeks, and I had to stop. So I had to stop the video just kind of abruptly right there because I looked up and I saw that it was already at 13 minutes. And it seems like anytime I get a video and it's 10 minutes or under, it will like upload fine. But when it gets over 10 minutes, for whatever reason, I always struggle with getting that video to upload. So I had to just kind of like cut it off right there, and I hope that one will upload okay. It's so weird how it does it sometimes. Sometimes everything uploads no problem, but then I feel like the last couple of videos, if it goes anywhere over 10 minutes, it just does not want to upload, and I end up having to plug my phone in and manually pulling it off my phone. So hopefully it'll work. Luckily, I have a whole day tomorrow to figure everything out. But I did have some finishes over the past 4 weeks, and I realized that one of them got put away with the 4th of July. So I did kind of take down all of my Americana 4th of July decorations, and I realized one of them got put away, and it shouldn't have. But I had these ones out because I haven't fully finished them yet. So they were kind of in, so this was before my brother came. I got them to a point where I was going to turn them into the little pillows, and I just ran out of time. So you're going to see them in there almost a pillow. And so I have 2 finishes from the Red, White, and Blue by With the Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. The first one, I think this is Garden of Liberty. I don't know why I struggle with the name of this. In my brain, it's Liberty's Garden, but I'm pretty positive it's Garden of Liberty. I stitched this on a piece of 36 count linen. I don't remember what it was. It's possible that it was either 36 count Vintage Country Mocha, or it was a piece of mystery linen from my stash, but I stitched it with the called for threads 1/2. And I do have it. This is the backing that I chose for it. So all I have to do is stuff it. And then I stuff it from the bottom and then whip stitch it closed. And so that's all I have left to do. And I am not going to put it in my box of to be finished. I'm going to stuff these and then make sure that next year they'll be out with my trench bowl, which still does have one 4th of July thing right there. It's the Old Glory by Daisy Case Primitives, and I left it there because I really love it, and I just love it, so I left it. This one was, I don't remember, sunflower something, like Sam's Sunflower maybe. This one is also out of Red, White, and Bloom. I just don't remember the name of it. I also know that this is a piece of 36 count mystery linen. It's possible it's Dill. I just don't remember. But I did stitch it with the called for threads, 1/2. And so here you can see that I have interfacing attached to the back. I like to put interfacing on the back of my little pillows. And I do have, I think it's a red fabric I have picked out for its backing. This one here was my previous morning stitch. I might have showed this in my last video, but this is Country Rustic Primitives, Primitive Sampler Style Pinkeep. And this is available as a PDF download on Etsy. And I'll put a link to Country Rustic Primitives web or Etsy shop down below. And this is a piece of 35 count sheep straw that I had in Mustache, and I also stitched it with the called for DMC. 1/2, I think. Yep, 1/2. And I also have the interfacing attached to the back as well. So, and I have fabric for the backing in the other room. So I just need to spend a little time fully finishing those, and then the when this is done, it's going to go right here in the trench. The other ones will get put away with the 4th of July decorations. So as far as all of the cross stitching goes for this video, that is all I have to show. But before you go, I do have a giveaway. It's been a while since I have done one, and I felt like it was high time. I'd been thinking about doing it in the last couple of videos, and time just kind of got away from me, and I didn't quite get my ducks in order. The items that I am going to give away are some of the items that the Fat Quarter Shop so generously shared with me. A couple of rules. The first rule is that you must be a subscriber, like the video, and then of course answer the question. There will be 11 chances to win, so after you do answer the question, you'll just have to say what numbers that you are interested in winning, and then before my next video, I will go in and I will pull 11 winners, and I will announce them in my next video. Also, before I show what the giveaway items are, I do want to say a big thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed to me. Over the past month and a half, I hit 10,000 subscribers, which absolutely blows me away. And I can't even begin to express how grateful I am for all of you guys. It's been an amazing journey, and I continue to look forward to every video and to reading all of the comments that you guys leave me. I really do appreciate it so very, very much. If there was a way that I could give everybody something, I would. I really would. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the giveaway items are, and then I will have the question for you to answer. So the first item, and number 1, will be the quilt pattern Among the Stars. So this is number 1. Number 2 is the Be in My Bonnet Stitch Card Set I. So this is number 2. Number 3 is the Festive Quilt Pattern. Number 4 is the Cross Stitch Finishing Dots. Number 5 is the Grace and Gratitude number 11 from the Prim Stitch series, as well as number 12. So you get 2 charts. Number 6 is the Oregon Trail Template Set. Number 7 is the Flea Market Flowers Cross Stitch Pattern. Number 8 is Kaleidoscope by Laurie Holt. Number 9 is the Olive Plaid Project Bag. Number 10 is the Charcoal Bag. And number 11 is the smaller Finishing Dots. So down below, after you answer the question, you'll just want to put which numbers that you are interested in winning, and then in my next video I will announce the winners. You do want to make sure that you put those numbers, because if you don't put anything, then I don't know what you're interested in winning. So you definitely want to make sure you put which numbers you're interested in winning down below next to your comment. So the question that you need to answer is, what stitching plans do you have for the rest of the summer? So for me, my plan is to continue working on everything that I have shown you today. And I do have a few projects that once I finish some of these, I will be working on. And the one that I'm 100% sure I'm working on next is my Wednesday stitch, which will be Turkey Hollow. So once I finish Jack's house, I'll be working on Turkey Hollow by Stacy Nash Primitves. But beyond that, I'm not really sure. I think a lot of it will be just continuing to work on what I have and maybe pull in another whip if I have an opening slot, I guess. But I definitely want to know what your summer stitching plans are, or what the rest of the summer stitching plan is. And then of course, be sure that you list the number of the item that you are interested in winning, and I will pull a winner in my next video. But as far as all the stitching related stuff, that is all I have to share with you today. And now I'm actually going to talk about quilting. So if you're not interested in seeing or hearing that, this is a great stopping off point, and I will be back in 2 weeks. And as always, you can follow me on Instagram. I am Pumpkin Hollow Quilts on there, or my Facebook page, which is Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And all the links for that will be down below in case you're interested. So I hope you have a great 2 weeks. However, if you're interested in seeing what quilting-wise I have been working on, just hang tight. All right, let's talk about quilts. So you might have noticed by now that the quilt that's hanging up behind me is not the one that's been hanging up over the past couple of months or weeks. I had the Constitution quilt by Primitive Gatherings, and I ended up changing it. I actually changed it on Tuesday. So I had finished hand stitching the binding down, and I came out to show Brian, and he told me that I should just hang it up. Instead of just folding it and putting on the quilt ladder, he told me I should just hang it up. And it's one of the ones that he really likes, so I was happy to oblige. This quilt is called Cut the Mustard, and it is out of the Tried and True book by Joe Morton. This one, I really did have a lot of fun putting this one together. I remember when Joe Morton first released the Tried and True book, and I saw this quilt. It was, I don't know if she has it in the book. When right before she released the book pattern, she had a picture. Well, I guess it was this picture. So it was this picture right here. So all I saw was this part, and I fell in love with it. And the book released, and I thought, well, I don't really need to, I don't really need the book right now. I'll kind of wait and see and maybe pick it up used. So a couple of months ago on the Amazon, it ended up coming up, I think it was like $11 from like a Goodwill or someplace like that. So I bought it, and I bought it because I knew I was going to have to make this quilt. So I had a question about it, if I could talk about the fabrics. Did I buy it as a kit, or, did I gather the fabrics for it? So some of the fabrics I already had in my stash. There were some of the indigo and creams were out of the box of fabrics that Yvette had sent me last year to help start my Civil War stash. So some of those came from there, and then the rest of them came from my local quilt shop, Speckled Hen in Aurora, Oregon. So I had some Christmas money, and I went up there, oh gosh, it's been over a month ago. She was having a sale, so it was probably around the 15th of May. I went and I picked out the remaining fabrics, so the cheddar and a lot of the blueprints, and a lot of the, not a lot, so a lot of the blueprints I did pick up from Speckled Hen, and I also picked up the border, and you can't see it, but there's cornerstone blocks. I also got those from the Speckled Hen. The creams, I only had to get a few of them because the rest of them came from my stash, and only a few of the blues did. And then I came home and I started cutting the quilt out. I still have quite a bit left over because I always end up buying more than I need. So there's definitely enough. I could probably do the quilt again if I wanted to. I don't, but I could if I wanted to. It was a lot of fun to put together. I absolutely love it. I do remember that this flying geese border here was a little bit fiddly. And in order to get it to fit, I had to go in and make my seam allowance a little bit bigger, because I typically will sew with a scant 1/4 inch, and I had to actually make it a little bit over a 1/4 inch to get mine to fit. It was just a little bit too big, but other than that, I loved making it. If I would have known I was going to hang it, I would have done a little different quilting motif. I just did a simple stipple, mostly because as I was assembling this quilt, I just wanted to keep it very simple. I didn't want to do anything that was going to distract or detract from the quilt itself. I tend to like to keep, I like my quilts to tell their story and not my quilting. So on this one, I kept it very simple, but I love it because, again, you can see the quilt and not my quilting. So, but I love it. I love it. So thank you to everybody for all of your wonderful comments. When I first hung it up, I thought it's going to be way too dark. You're not going to be able to see it, but I think it's just because the 2 previous quilts had been quite a bit brighter. But I absolutely love it. So, you know, if you have the pattern, I would just, you know, if you, I would look and see what's in your stash first, because it's just made from basically creams and tans, and then the blues, the indigos, and so I went from like dark to lighter indigo colors, because that's kind of how it looks, her quilt looks, where it has the light and the dark blueprints. There are a few in there that are Jo Morton fabrics that she did put in her quilt, but a lot of them, there's one of them I picked up, I think it's this one right here, the quilt shop where I bought it from, all it said was Colonial by Wyndham Fabrics, and it looked like it was an older fabric line because it hardly had any salvage on it. And nowadays they like to put like an inch where it's got all that, you know, they'll put like sayings and little things in it to decorate it, but this just had a very scant, and it just said Colonial by Wyndham Fabrics. I think it said Colonial Black by Wyndham Fabrics, and it's from a really old line. And there was one, I forget which one it was. There's another one somewhere up in here that's also a really older line of fabric. So but I had a lot of fun putting it together, and if it's something that you're thinking of doing, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And but thank you for all of your really kind comments. That totally brightened up my whole day. Okay, so as far as other quilting goes, I haven't done a whole lot for myself. So this quilt, it was done before my brother came, and I had it out on my quilt machine with the backing and the batting waiting. And so I went out and quilted it on Thursday of last week, I think. No, maybe Monday. Oh no, it was Monday. Monday of this week I went out and quilted it. And then I put the binding on it, and I finished the binding on Tuesday. So it had been waiting on my quilt machine for like 2 weeks. So I did definitely have it done. I think I should have went and looked to see what I had done. And it's hard to remember like 4 weeks worth of stuff, but I either had it done or I had it almost done in my last video. Anyway, but that was really the only like quilting, like quilt that I did over the past couple of weeks. I just have not had really any time, because once my brother and them left on Thursday, I had an eye doctor appointment, and then the whole house had to be put back together, and I just had a ton of stuff to do. And so Monday I got back to quilting client quilts. But I did manage to work on some of my red sampler quilt blocks. I'm still 2 weeks behind, so I have the current week and then I have last week's that I have to do. And then I think it only goes for another week or two, and then it might be done. I feel like it's getting really close to the end. I remember reading something on her blog post that it was getting really, really close. I think there's either 1 or 2 more weeks left. So as of right now, I am 1 week behind, and then of course I have this week's to catch up on. I do have all of the fabrics pulled for the 4 blocks from last week. So hopefully over the weekend I might be able to work on those. They're all the 12-inch blocks, so they take a little bit more time. So I'm going to show you what I did manage to get done. I pumped these out. I think I worked on them Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I worked on them all 4 days. So there is this one. I'm doing mine all in Civil War reproduction fabrics. So there is this one. And this one, which I absolutely love how this one turned out. And there is this one. And I tried to, in some of these, I tried to pick a little bit darker for the background fabric, because I'm kind of mixing the light and the dark together. And I hope it's going to work. So like this one got a little bit darker cream color. This one I'm not very happy with how it turned out. I kind of struggled with this one a little bit. And so my points aren't as perfect as I would like them to be. I kind of ripped up part of it out and tried, but I couldn't. It just was not working out. There's this one and this one. And I love this one here. And that one. This one right here. And this one. So they're so much fun. I am really enjoying putting them all together, and I cannot wait to see what this quilt is going to look like when it's done. I already have the border fabric. I picked mine up from Thousands of Bolts, and it's just it's like a red paisley. I forgot to grab it. I was going to show it in this video, but I'll show it next time. So my plan is just to continue working on those. And then hopefully sometime around when the final blocks, when she reveals what the final blocks are, hopefully shortly thereafter, I will be able to finish it. I think it's going to be a really, really awesome block, or a really, really awesome quilt. I can't wait. It's been a long time since I've done a red and white quilt. I had done one years ago, and we used it to death, and it's got big holes in it, and it's just, I still have it, but it's a mess. Anyway, so my plan is to continue working on those. I do have some quilts in the works that I am planning on putting together, that they're just waiting for me. One of them is Jane Austen. I keep getting asked all the time when I am going to make my Jane Austen quilt, and I promise it's going to happen very soon. I just have to finish a couple of things before, and I want to have like several days where there's nothing going on, that I can just sit down and put it together. And also, my plan was, while I was putting it together, I would watch the Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion and Emma, and I wanted to like have the movies, or the mini series and the movies playing as I'm putting it together. So I just wanted to find some time where I don't have to go anywhere. I can sit down and I can put it together. But you'll see it. Trust me. I don't want to give myself like, oh, I'm going to do it this weekend, because it won't be this weekend. But it will be soon. It's just going to pop up one day. You'll just be like, maybe a week from now, and there it'll be. I mean, I don't know. But I do plan on having it done very, very soon, because when I went to the quilt store the last time to pick up the backing for this, and to pick up some more fat quarters of red fabric for my red sampler quilt, she had just got this Halloween kit in, and my husband bought it for me and told me that I'm not allowed to put it together until I finish Jane Austen. So I have some motivation, because it's really, really cool. I don't have it to show you this time, because I try to keep it out there away from me, so that way I'm not tempted to like, oh, I'll just pick this up, I'll just cut out a little bit, it's fine. So anyway, so yes, I do plan on working on my Jane Austen quilt very, very soon. I promise. Promise, promise. She beckons to me every single day. So, but I do have quite a few quilt plans in the works. I'm very, very excited. I've been enjoying working with Civil War reproduction fabrics. It's my obsession. I just enjoy every second. I love handling the fabric. I love petting it. I love cutting it and putting it into blocks, and it's been a lot of fun. So I have a lot of projects coming up. Well guys, that brings me to the end of my video. If you have stuck around this long, thank you so very, very much. I enjoy being able to show both my cross stitching and my quilting. And I appreciate all of you guys that don't mind either of them. I have some quilters that they'll watch all the way through the cross stitching to see the quilting because they just like to see what I'm working on cross stitching wise. And I have some cross stitchers that watch till the end just to see quilting wise what I'm working on, even though that might not be something that they do, but they still like to watch and see, and I appreciate that so much because I also like to do that in others' videos as well. I don't mind, I like to see. So don't forget to enter the giveaway. And again, I will announce those winners in my next video. Thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending me those items to be able to share with all of you guys. And of course, I will be back in 2 weeks to share what I have been working on, and I hope you have a fabulous 2 weeks. If you would like to see what I am working on in between videos, I am Pumpkin Hollow Quilts on Instagram, or I do have a Facebook page. It is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting, and I will put a link to those down below. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. And when it comes to email, there's a couple of emails that I do desperately need to answer, and I have not had a chance to sit down and answer those. So I don't want, and if you sent me a message even on Instagram, there's a couple of messages that I need to get back and I need to answer to, and I'm so sorry that I haven't done it yet, but I do plan on it because they were big questions that need a big answer. So I do plan on answering those this week. So I'm very sorry that I haven't done it yet. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to either leave it down below, or you can shoot me an email and I'll put all that information down below and how you can get in touch with me. So, well guys, I hope you have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.